It's 7 o'clock. It's time for Content and Cocktails. So, welcome. If you have not been on and around Content and Cocktails before, this is my weekly deep dive into all things video making and video marketing. And this has been going for far longer than I think is frankly sensible, but probably since early 2019. And we are still here, still doing this. So welcome. If you're watching this in my free group, Grow Your Business with Video, hello. If you're not a member of Grow Your Business with Video, I strongly implore you to come over and check it out. I am just going to check that all of my video ducks are in a row, as they say, awfully say, because sometimes these things don't quite mesh up. There we go. I can see one share by me. Let's just refresh that. Yes. So, hello, Mike Boss. Good to see you. Your name has come up. Oh, thank you. I am attempting to make a bit more of an effort at the moment. I had one of those realizations the other day that I sort of got into a habit of, when I had when my foot was broken, I sort of fell into the habit of sort of trolling around in effectively in sort of sweatpants, and I sort of realized I'd probably fallen into a bad habit. So I thought it might be a good idea to nip that in the bud, and so I'm trying to dress like some kind of, well, this is actually a rather nice sort of heavy linen or sort of canvas suit that I got for a photo shoot ages ago, and haven't used it so much since. It comes with some very nice braces which attach to the kind of slightly Edwardian looking trousers, and I do look like I look like I should be driving a steam roller, a large steam engine to work every morning. So there's a whiff of the blast debate, the whiff of the a whiff of the sort of I can't think of his name. What was it? The guy who climbed up chimneys and blew them up? I can't think of his name. That person. I don't know. That person. Fred Dibner. There's a bit of the Fred Dibner about it. There we go. So what we're going to talk about this evening is actually something I haven't done for ages, and I realized as I was kind of doing my sort of planning. So I was having some conversations with people in the group, in my free group this morning, and it struck me that I haven't done a sort of how to get started with video live for ages. And there's been a lot of new people in the group over the last. Fred Dibner, there we go. We got there in the end. And so I thought, well, I think what we'll do this evening then is do a little bit of hello. We'd sort of take a bit of a back to basics attitude towards the whole question of video, and spend a bit of time talking about how you can get started, because I think for a lot of people that sort of first act of either turning the camera on to go live or standing in front of the camera for the first time can feel quite overwhelming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of walk you through the framework that I think everybody should be sort of following in order to get their heads around video. And this is something that I work on with lots of different people. It's something which we get into over in there's lots of trainings around this in my membership, but this training will be enough to kind of hopefully get the old grey cells firing in the right way. But this is, of course, Content and Cocktails, and you need a a cocktail to go with it. So I'm actually going for something a little bit more straightforward this evening. We're going to have an Americano, which is a really straightforward mix of, it's a equal measures of Campari and a red vermouth and a few dashes of Angostura bitters, and that's kind of it. It's no more complicated than that. It's sort of my go-to cocktail for a something that isn't kind of going to absolutely knock you for six, but isn't also, you know, is actually kind of very flavorful, a very nice drink. Now, of course, I would much prefer to be drinking this sat in a warm, sunny bar or in Italy, but you know, it's a slightly damp day in Plymouth, so we'll take that. We'll take that. So, oh, I've left my measure in the kitchen. Oh well, I'll have to eye it in. So, whilst I'm doing this, tell me about your weeks. How the devil are you? I can see Mike Boss is there. He's commented, and it's interesting, Mike. I can see your name. Your name is coming up because you must have registered through the link last week. I will dig the link out actually because it's quite nice to be able to see. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button here. So what I'll do is I'll make the cocktail, then I'll get myself set up, and we'll get into how to get started with video, because many people feel that first act of getting started is some of the hardest kind of steps to take. But yeah, we're going for an Americano, which is like I say, very much a favorite of mine. You see, this is actually not me using StreamYard. This is using something called Melon that I picked up on AppSumo a while ago. So I got a lifetime deal on this, which is great. They do still run these lifetime deals sometimes, and I'd certainly recommend keeping an eye out for them because it's an ever evolving platform. I must say it's great actually. Cheers. So there we go, Americano. Kind of bitter and sweet at the same time. Right, so let me just check over on my business page. There we go. If you fancy sharing this live, that would be most appreciated, because a shared live is a live that gets to more people, and eyeballs on the live is a great place to be, as we will talk about these things. So yeah, if you fancy giving this a cheeky share, I would be most grateful. So what have I been up to this week? I've been filming out in the moors. I was out in Dartmoor filming some really kind of lovely footage on the one sunny day we've had for a client over in the States, a guy called Robert G. Hunter, who is just a lovely guy. And I've been working with him on his YouTube channel, and he's commissioned me to create the visuals for some sort of I suppose in the broader sense, a meditation and relaxation video. But we're sort of playing around with a bit of sound design as well, putting some binaural sounds in there, and sort of just turning it into something which is kind of good for his audience. So I've been doing that, and also I've been acting as taxi dad for kids. So Astrid is off school at the moment. Oren had his penultimate day today, and I went to go and see him in his Easter service. Yes, so Mike's a drone pilot as well as a top-notch asset finance guy, and he says the weather's been appalling, hasn't it? Trying to get away with the drone, but no, like got a shoot on Monday there, which looks good. I'm pleased. Yeah, whereabouts is the shoot? Tell me more. I want to know more. Comments. Have I missed any comments? I'm very mindful that that I've been missing some comments recently. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. So we're going to have Screen share. Oh my god. I'm not exactly firing all cylinders today, folks. Bear with me. I'll put that up there on the screen up there, and we will share. Oh, we've got. Somebody saying hello over here. Doing a shoot. Doing a shoot of the Reading FC training ground for them. The players doing an Easter egg hunt. That is pretty random. Well done. That sounds good. That sounds great. And we have M saying good evening. Who is that? Who is M? The mysterious M. Who could that be? We'll find out before we get into the. Who is it? Who is the goodie? Who is M? I wonder who that is. I'd love to know, actually. I'm just going to check the other place. Oh, it's Chris. It's Chris. It's Mr. West, my neighbour, just a few doors down, as Dolly Parton once said. Right. Let me. It is Mr. West. What the flipping heck am I doing? Right, share screen. Oh my slide. Oh, no. Screen. Yeah. It's been a getting started with video share. Okay. Right. Look at this. There we go. Oof. Chris has been valeting automobiles, and he does it very well. I am absolutely knackered. 3-hour valet earlier. Blimey. Yeah. I'm sort of. I'm loath to. I would give you the car to valet, Chris, but at this time of year, I'm doing so many miles. It's like we it gets cleaned and then it just gets dirty, almost instantly. So I'm sort of waiting until the weather sort of gets a little less Grimsters, and then I'm gonna give it to you for your for your ministrations. So look at that. That's quite cool. I like that. No, I don't like that. What else have we got here? No. Yes, we'll go with that. That's quite get hold of it one day indeed. So this is getting started with video. I quite like this setup. This is all right. Now, this is me sat on Plymouth, just by overlooking Plymouth Sound. So, with a cheesy grin on my face, looking like a happy chap. We'd just come out of lockdown when we had those taken. So, first thing, why bother with video? A question many people ask. Why bother with video? Well, video is really interesting, and we're going to look at some of the sort of the top line answers to this question, because there are lots of reasons why you'd bother with video, and these are my top 4. So we'll come back to number 1 at the end, because number 1 is probably worth getting quite deep into. But I will say, so it's video is a high converting format. So what I mean by that is that it is a very good tool for getting people over the finish line when it comes to content, when it comes to the marketing and sales process. In fact, actually, before I forget it, I have got 3. Was it 2? We'll say 3. I've got 3 of my 2-for-1 deals on my video testimonial packages left. These are well worth getting if you are looking to get some good news stories from clients. Then the 2-for-1 virtual video testimonial package is great. Now, out of each recording session, we usually get between 6 and 8 videos, sometimes a little bit more, depending on what people sort of how deep we've been able to get into the subject matter. But very often these act as testimonials and case studies, and they can help people navigate through that process of finding out about you and building that trust. So video is a high converting tool, and we'll come on to more detail about that in a minute. It's very good at communicating with people both emotionally. It's good at delivering educational content, and it's good at entertaining. So that is, video is very good at that. It's also very good at showing and telling. Now this is interesting, because a lot of video that is put out there is very good at telling. So you'll just get people in front of the camera telling facts, and in a testimonial situation that can be fine, because actually it's all about seeing a human being talking about you and how brilliant you are. But the showing with video is really, really important as well. And actually over in the paid membership tomorrow, we are doing a session all about getting better B-roll and footage to do that show part as well as the telling part, because it's kind of a really important part of the process. And video is also fantastic at building relationships and rapport. So if you want to build a kind of a conversation with somebody, video is a fantastic way of doing that. In fact, I've had a number of occasions where I've been editing footage with somebody I haven't met before, and I finally meet them, and I feel like I've got to know that person, and I go up and I start talking to them, and they think I'm completely insane because I've just come up and started talking to them, and then I realize actually, you don't know me, but I feel like I know you because I've been editing the footage. And actually this has happened to me in the other way around. I've gone to live events and people have come up to me and said, "Oh, it's Tom," and I'm like, "We've never met before." The video marketing works. Because people feel like they have built a relationship, and it's a fascinating thing to be sort of on the receiving end of. So yeah, that is a good a good thing. So relationships and rapport is a really important part of that process. So back to the first one, conversion. Let's just go to here. Thank you, Scott. I can see Scott MacArthur as. Thank you. I like it. It's good for my ego when I hear things like that. So here we are. Video. Scalability and conversion are two factors by which we measure the success and the utility of a marketing sort of function. So conversion means how successful is the marketing activity at turning somebody from a never having, from a non-buyer into a buyer. And scalability, so this, I can't do it. I feel like I want to point at something, but I can't. That's annoying. Scalability is how easily we can get that to lots of different people. So when we talk about converting, a very high converting marketing and sales activity, a one-to-one meeting, so face-to-face meetings, or to a certain extent Zoom meetings, getting yourself sat down with the person you are talking to about delivering a product or service to. The success rate of that kind of interaction is generally very high, but it is impossible to scale. There cannot be more than one of you. That is, you are it. You can build a sales team, but there will never be anyone who is you. And if you're building a sales team, you'll always have that kind of that struggle of making sure you're training people up to communicate and sort of interact with people in the way you want them to, and all of that kind of stuff. So you are very good at converting, but you are not scalable. You are the very definition of non-scalable. if we go all the way up to the top of the scalability thing, you can see a letter in the post, or it is super scalable. You can send out thousands of letters to people, and sort of an old school marketing approach, taking direct mail and sending it, and it's still done because it works. Direct mail on some level works, but you have to be sending it out to thousands of people because it's very easy to scale, but it's very poor at converting. Email marketing, I think, is interesting. So very scalable, but I would say the conversion rates on email marketing to particularly a warm email list, one that is good, is that there's pretty deep. You can get pretty decent conversion out of that. But video is really interesting because video leverages an awful lot of the value that we see from one-to-one with the sort of digital scalability of email. And you can get yourself, your face, your personality, who you are, what you like to do, in front of lots of different people in that sort of high, decently scalable with a decent conversion rate. But you've got to use it in the right way. Then, of course, we've got the unicorn of high converting and high scalable. And as yet, I don't know where that is. If you know where that is, please tell me, because I would like to know. Video as a marketing tool. So if you want some of that good scalability and high converting action, you're going to have to master on some level video, whether that's being comfortable in front of the camera, whether that's appointing a video team to do it. You have at some point got to make the climb to be comfortable with video, either as a creator, if you are somebody who is in the in those early days, or if you're a solo entrepreneur and you're kind of doing a bit of everything yourself. There is, when you're starting out with video, quite a steep climb. You need to get up and over that hump of learning how to do a bit of shooting, a bit of editing, and getting your content out there. And that initial climb is quite steep. The good news is it's a short but steep climb. And whether or not you've got a bit of support with that, some hands at your back helping you up that hill, that's kind of up for grabs. But I never say to people, oh, it's super easy, because the reality is, if I was to say that, I would be lying, because video is a really interesting. It sits at a really interesting intersection between creativity and technical know-how, and so there are a number of different things that you have to get your head around in order to get yourself to a point where creating video content is straightforward. So I'm never going to lie. I'm never going to say when you're getting started with video, there isn't a bit of learning to do, and that initial climb is very daunting, and that is both a disadvantage and a significant advantage. And the reason why it is an advantage is because all those people that you are thinking you're competing with a good proportion of them will be looking at video and going, no, that's too hard. And if you can be the person who takes that step and makes that climb, then you are already significantly far ahead of the competition. It sometimes takes a bit of bravery. It sometimes takes a bit of a bold step. But if you can make it, you will have a significant advantage. Now, I've broken this steep climb down into four pillars, because it's a coaching. I deliver this on a coaching program. There's got to be pillars, haven't there? Pillars or something like that. But I have got, you can see literally 4 pillars, 4 nice Corinthian or composite pillars we can see there. I wouldn't like to guess where they are, but it does look a little bit like Rome, doesn't it? So what are my 4 pillars? And this is where I completely fail to remember the 4 pillars. So the 4 pillars are mindset, they are strategy, they are story, and they are skills and tech. You see, I did it. 4 pillars: strategy, mindset, story, skills and tech. And if you can build skills in each of those slowly and evenly across all 4, and improve your kind of your sort of skill base across them, you'll be up that steep climb in no time at all. And once you get to the top of that climb, then it doesn't level out. There's always learning to be done. You can always be learning more, because it's one of the, I'm learning things still every day, and I love that about this. You can go as full on as you want, and you can be as creative as you want. The limit is, the limit is your imagination, and it's true. It is. So those are the 4 pillars, and we're going to talk a little bit about the kind of the nature of video before we get into breaking those down. Very often I get asked, what's about live and pre-recorded video. Now, for me, these are linked. They are similar, but they are distinctly different beasts, and you can make a choice whether you do live or pre-recorded or a bit of both. Now, for me, when I was sort of making the COVID pivot, I just did live. I just did live video and nothing else, and it was brilliant. Because live video is a really flexible tool, and I really like using it, and I like sort of being able to help people with that. But when you're starting that out, the techniques we're going to be talking about apply to both of these, live and pre-recorded. But it's worth bearing in mind they are slightly different tools. They are superficially similar, but they function in slightly different ways. But the underlying the pillars that we talk about support both live and pre-recorded. So if we're talking about building a strategy when you're getting started with video, I would strongly suggest that you start by knowing your audience. And that's going to sound a bit sort of basic, possibly, but in knowing your audience, in building an understanding of your ideal audience, you will have a foundation to build off that is second to none. If you can understand in the same way that you would understand your ideal customer, understanding your ideal audience and sort of understanding how it's segmented and who's interested in what is really, really valuable. Something that is worth, and I always say this, something that is worth considering, bearing in mind, is the sort of the subtle but important difference between ideal customer and ideal audience. Your ideal audience can be made up of people who will never buy from you, but they may, it will 100% consist of people who will never buy from you. They may well be people who are very, very enthusiastic consumers and supporters of you and what you do, but it might be that they're evangelists for you. Your ideal audience may not be buyers, but they may be people who go out and, in fact, it has literally happened today. Somebody I'm talking to, somebody in my audience, has tagged me in a post saying, looking for a photographer and a videographer recommendations for Mayfair London. Output required to create promotional content and next level teaser video for the next event. Please include links to previous work. So really, really great that somebody's tagged me in, and I'm very, very happy indeed to be tagged in. And that's that's the nature of this. If you've got people in your audience who like what you do, they will be tagging you into things, and that sort of that kind of advocacy for what you do is really valuable, and shouldn't be underestimated. So know your audience, and you can go through an ideal audience exercise, customer avatar exercise, and there's no shortage of ways to do this. plenty of people have plenty of ways, and this is just my way of breaking it down. If you're in the membership, 15 quid a month, you can access all of these templates. We've got workbooks to help you through this process. But yeah, getting under the skin of your ideal audience is really important. You know, it's a bit of an old sort of a hoary old marketing chestnut, but it is, you know, it's a valuable one. Just going to check. I thought somebody. So the process of getting to know your audience is not one that should be like done in an hour. This actually should take you days, because it's the foundation. You know, understanding who you're communicating with is not just about building this kind of notional person you're talking to. It's about understanding the language they use, the process by which they kind of think, what they want from you as a supplier, all these things that will help you get under the skin of kind of what you do. But it starts with simple exercises like this, understanding the demographics and behavior and interest. Now, I like to use as many people do, a notional individual, somebody who sort of sits as a totem for everybody in your audience. But what you've got to remember is actually your ideal audience will be made up of lots of different people. So it's worth running this exercise a number of times. Once you've understood your audience, you then will kind of map out your story. And this is a well-trodden path. I mean, I'm not claiming any of this is particularly mine. I'm just telling you how you put it together for video. But the hero's journey is, it's like a 7,000-year-old story structure. So this is the reality is, we make sense of the world about us using stories. It's sort of how we navigate our way through the world. We tell stories to each other to help us move between emotional states, physical, geographical states, and this structure, this kind of hero's journey, is really important. So understanding how you tell a good story to your audience. So you've identified your audience with, we've identified your audience, with this exercise. We then have to work out how we're going to communicate the complex story that is your business and how it, we're looking for how your ideal audience member understands how what you do interacts and makes their life better. And this is done through storytelling. But once you've understood your audience and your story, a really good thing to do in this strategic thinking part of getting started with video is thinking, where will video make the most difference in the shortest time? Because most of us are thinking, actually, I want to get cracking now. I want to start selling. So look at the journey that your customer goes on to become a customer, from right at the top, exposure. So that's the point at which somebody gets to know about you. Discovery, where somebody's digging deeper into your world. Consideration, that point where they're thinking, oh yeah, okay, I know what they do. I like the way they do it. And I'm now thinking about buying, to that point where they actually become a buyer. And then afterwards, as a customer, how do you build that relationship? How do you retain, and how do you upsell? And if you look at that, it could be that you're somebody who generates loads of leads, but is not great at converting them. So maybe you look at that and think, oh, my consideration and conversion stage is a bit lacking. So maybe I plug some testimonials in there. Don't forget about my 2-for-1 testimonial deal. It's still on for a few days. Or it could be that you're really good at converting people into customers, but you're just not getting leads in at the top. So you need to work out how video can help bring people into the top of your funnel. So a bit of analysis of the way people work, the way people sort of journey with you from never having heard of you before to being happy customers. It's a really important thing to get your head around. Mindset. The mindset part is the missing link in all this. And in fact, this is in many ways the thing before the thing. And this is the bit that holds so many people back. So many people. But I'm just going to take, before we get into mindset, I'm just going to check this out. If there's any questions, has anyone got any thoughts or ideas they want to share about this? If so, pop a comment in the chat, pop a comment here, and we'll get into it. But yeah, strategy, the mindset is when it's paired with a solid strategy, that is when things really start to come together. And more than anything, the mindset is the thing. The creator mindset is the thing that is lacking. And very often it's when we unlock that the right kind of mindset and apply that to a good strategy that really exciting things start to happen. Because ultimately you've got to be committed and comfortable with the idea of creating regular content. And that means getting in front of the camera. That means people seeing your face, because I'm a great believer in the idea that you have to be in front of the camera. If you are a solo business owner, well, actually not just a solo business, if you're a business owner and if you're talking to people, then you have to be seen. And there are lots of people who will tell you, oh, you can make, videos that, you can do whiteboard videos or whatever they are, but those are never as effective as people want them to be, because ultimately people want to see you. People want to build a relationship with you. They don't want to build a relationship with a cartoon character. That's not what we're looking to do. That's not interesting. We are looking for people to get to know you. And so in that sort of, we want people to have a conversation with you. And so you've got to get in front of the camera. And there's very often those mindset gremlins, what if I'm not good enough? What if I get lost? What if I get trolled? What will my friends think? All these things that kind of get in the way. And I know, because God knows I've been there. And, last year was a great example of me sort of losing confidence to a certain extent and stepping back from doing this. And, lo and behold, you have to sort of rebuild again. It's hard, and it's harder to rebuild than it is to maintain. So the thing before the steep climb is the getting a good mindset in place. One where you feel good about being on camera, where you feel good about what lies in the future, what's up at the top of that steep climb. And actually the steep climb becomes quite enjoyable if you're sort of mentally ready for it. So there's a few little things I want to just share with you, some little techniques and ideas that will help you with build a confident creator mindset. And the first is around sort of the pillar of skills and tech. If you put build a dummy Facebook group. So set up a Facebook group. You are the member of it. You are the only member of it. You set it to private, and then you can use that group to do your test lives in. So I have a Facebook group called Tom's Live Test Group or something like that. And it is just, I haven't used it for a while, but it's got a lot of footage of me just testing my tech setup, testing my audio setup, making sure that it is as good and as kind of as tight as it can be. But I do that in the confidence that I'm the only person there seeing it, so that when you go to the wider world and start doing lives for real, that your tech setup works. So it's a good place to build skills and tech confidence. So something that's worth bearing in mind around mindset is this idea of the mirror effect. So this is a sort of a psychological principle whereby when it comes to decision making and influencing people, being seen is really, really valuable. And I don't just mean like being seen regularly and repeatably will make you more likely to build relationships with people. And I know that sounds really trite, but this idea of the mirror effect, we prefer the things that we have seen most frequently. And that is true of whether people are seeing something for, kind of, I was reading some research around this, and there are studies that have been run where people were just flashed images of, banner ads, so that people were deliberately presented with banner ads of a particular type of camera and were then asked to make a choice about cameras, and they didn't remember seeing the adverts, but they were ended up displaying a preference for a particular type of camera because the exposure to that bit of kit had been regular and consistent, and when it came to making a choice, people fall back on what they know. So being visible, and it can even be something as simple as people seeing your name pop up on Facebook and it says Tom Stanhope is going live, or kind of Mike Boss is going up, whatever it is. Your name pops up. They don't even have to see your face, but that familiarity builds through exposure. The more people see you, the more people will trust you and like you. And liking is the most powerful thing. And liking can sometimes be based on being seen. You don't actually have to be likable. You've just got to be seen. I'm reading a fascinating book at the moment called Influence. Who I can't think of what the author's name is. I will tell you in a second. I say reading. I'm listening to it at the moment. Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini. It was recommended to me by Matt Boyles, and it's fascinating, really good. It sort of sums up all the research around he used the phrase compliance professionals. So this is like people in sales and marketing, and it's sort of rounding up a lot of those kind of people in government positions, sort of nudge units and all those things, about how people get people to do stuff. And I finished the section on the mirror effect, and it's something I've been talking about for a while, and it just sort of reminded me just how important that is. So being seen, preference through exposure, be seen. And that's why I want your face in front of the camera. But from a confidence point of view, know that when people see you, it is doing your business profound good. And then structure. So another way to build that sort of creator mindset, to be confident, is to have a good structure that you're following. So in your lives and your pre-records, a bit of planning, having a structure to follow. And I've actually got a free giveaway that helps with this structure. I've got my go live checklist and the little training that goes alongside it. So if you would like to get your mitts on that, actually, I'll tell you where it is. It's actually on my profile as a link, I think. It is, yes, it's in the intro section. Love live video, get my free training. I'll just, hang on, let's copy that link. Copy link. Let's put that burpee. So structure, and then I suppose a fifth thing to consider is a bit of self-kindness. So we're very, very quick to tell ourselves how much we hate being on camera, and the words we use are really, really important. So Be kind to yourself. You know, when you are talking about how you feel about being on camera, try to reframe things. Imagine going to your best friend's house, sitting down around the kitchen table, having a cup of tea, and they turn around and say to you, I've been making some videos for my business. Would you like to see them? And they show you them, and you sit there and you go, yes, that's lovely. And then you turn around to your best friend and go, you know what? I really hate the way you look on camera. It'd be quite a devastating. It'd be a terrible thing to say. That would be devastating. What an awful thing to say. Yet, so many people I work with start, tell me really, really kind of loudly and strongly how much they hate seeing themselves on camera, how much they hate being on camera, and actually choosing our words a bit more carefully can help a great deal when it comes to feeling good about being on camera, building that mindset, because we can come to love being on camera. We're not going to get into that because actually that's a bit more. There's some really interesting psychology around why we don't like being on camera and what we can do about it, but we'll come to that another time. But getting started with video doesn't have to be hard. It can be a case of putting a plan into place and taking action. You don't need lots of fancy kit. You've got these things. We've got phones. Prop it up using some Lego or some books and go live. Go live with a plan. Go live with purpose. Go live to an audience that you understand and that you know inside out. So getting started with video doesn't have to be difficult, but it does have to be planned. If you are using video as a communication tool for your business, have a very clear sense of what you want to be achieving with it, how you want to be achieving it, and the people you are talking to. And alongside that, be regular, keep showing up, be that person who is there, because if you are there every day, not every day, but there regularly, you will build a rapport and relationship with your ideal customers, the people you've identified in that research process. Being regular and keeping on showing up will get you lodged in their mind. And when it comes to them looking for a service from you, that's what they'll go for. They'll go for you because they know you. What next? Well, if you are looking at video and thinking, what do I do? Then really it's about just getting started. What I'd love for you to do is to post about your come in to grow your business with video and share your thoughts and your research about your audience, because we can have a conversation about it there, and I'm quite happy to comment and help you with that process, because actually that process of starting to understand who you're talking to is really the root of everything. So there we go. That's it. That's my getting started thing. Hopefully there's some food for thought there, but I'll stick around for a little bit for some questions if you've got any. But yeah, there we go. Now, I have a few things that are probably worth talking about. One is, like I say, we've got the video testimonial offer, the 2-for-1. Oh, there we go, Mike Boss. The boss mind is whirring. Good stuff. So if you are thinking, actually, I would like to take advantage of the testimonial deal, 2-for-1, drop me a message or pop a comment here, and I can give you the 2-for-1 on the testimonials. That's us doing the testimonials for you. It's a virtual testimonial package. Is £359 including VAT. So that's an all-in VAT inclusive figure, and that gets you testimonials and case studies for your business done online with your clients. So the way it works is You introduce us to your clients, and then we take on from the rest. We'll have had a session together where we identify the questions that we're going to ask your customers, your clients. We create that content and then go from there. So you are very welcome to tap me on the shoulder and say, yes, I'd like that, please. We've got 3 left on the 2-for-1 deal. So if you fancy that, hit me up. Candy McCormick says, oh, thank you very much. So that's brilliant. So so Candy, if you come on over to on Facebook, excuse me, I have a free group called Grow Your Business with Video with Tom Stanhope. This training will be sitting in that group, and you will be able to access it there. But also, you'll be able to watch the whole thing on LinkedIn again if you so desire. But I'm very glad you got a lot from it. LinkedIn. There we go. I always forget I'm live on LinkedIn as well. It's like it's lovely to see people coming over from LinkedIn. So yeah, that's it really. Like I say, we've got the testimonials 2-for-1 offer out there at the moment, and that will be going probably, if I'm honest, probably until next Monday. Because I'd like to. There's a few people who've said yes, they'd like it, but they're waiting until the end of the week, which is tomorrow. I can't quite believe it's Friday tomorrow, but there we go. Easter holidays looming. That's it really. Thank you so much for watching. I'm still Tom Stanhope. This is Content and Cocktails, the weekly deep dive into all things video making and video marketing. And I would be honored if you would join me again next week for the next in this ongoing, never-ending series of tasty drinks and even tastier brain food. Right, I will see you next week. Bye-bye.